This is going to be my movie review for Tron Ares. This was a movie I was really looking forward to because I just think it looked incredible from those trailers. This movie's a little bit controversial. It's pretty much like right in the middle. A lot of people are saying it's mid, a 6 out of 10, 54% on Rotten Tomatoes, 2.9 on Letterboxd. I don't really get what these reviews are saying because I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. I actually had a really good time with it. Is it a great movie? Absolutely not, but it's very, very entertaining. Just like the Avatar movies, I don't think the story is incredible, but I really enjoy those movies. But anyways, let's talk about what this movie is even about, and then I'll give you guys my pros and negatives, and then my rating out of 10. So, Tron Ares stars Jared Leto as Ares, which he is a Master Protocol program from the Dillinger Grid. Yes, the same Dillingers from the previous movies who are some of the bad guys in the whole franchise. So they create Ares. He's a very advanced AI, and he starts to disobey orders, and he wants to become real. He wants to actually, go to the real world and actually be able to live there. And that's pretty much what the whole movie is about. We have the good guys and the bad guys searching for something called the Permanence Code, which is the MacGuffin of the movie. They're trying to get this thing to be able to survive in the real world. So you've got the bad guys that want to have all these, military contracts and all that and build these super advanced weapons and make a bunch of money and, typical villain stuff. But they need the permanence code to be able to bring that stuff from the grid over to the real world and sell it and use it. And we've got the good guys like Eve Kim who are trying to use this permanence code for good. They want to manufacture medicine and food for everyone across the world to just better mankind. And that's pretty much the story of Tron Ares in a nutshell. They're looking for the permanence code. The bad guys want to make weapons and make money, and then the good guys want to make medicine and food and cure world hunger and all that. Okay, now on to my positives. So my first positive is Jared Leto. Surprisingly, I'm not a big Jared Leto fan. I actually don't like him in almost everything I've ever seen him in. But in this movie, I think he works for the Ares character. He's a very stoic character. He's got some comedy here and there, but it's very deadpan. He's not actually trying to be funny. But no, I thought Jared Leto was solid as Ares. Greta Lee as Eve Kim, I also thought worked. Now, this one was interesting because she basically takes over the company of Encom, and we don't see Sam Flynn anymore. They basically wrote him off screen. They said he resigned due to personal reasons, so he's no longer running the company, but Eve Kim steps up and her sister, and they start running the company, and honestly, I was kind of worried. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this whole move away from the Flynn family and going to some new characters we don't know anything about, but honestly, I thought it worked all right. Like, there's a pretty sympathetic backstory for Eve Kim and her sister and everything, and it gets you emotionally invested in the character and why she wants to make medicine and, just better mankind. You really buy what she's trying to do and why she wants to do it, and I thought Eve Kim actually worked as a character. Yes, they could have fleshed her out a little bit more, but her motivations and everything I totally bought into. And I thought Greta Lee did a good job with the performance of the character. Now on to my biggest positives in this movie. It is an absolute spectacle. The VFX, the cinematography, it is stunning. It looks amazing. I saw this movie in IMAX in 3D, and oh my god, this is one of the best looking movies I've seen in probably the last year. Like, it actually looks beautiful. There was some really great action scenes too. There was a light cycle chase in the real world, which was badass, and there was an Akira slide and everything. It was really, really cool. There was also this water chase scene in the grid. That one was awesome too. Just some really great visuals and VFX and action in this film, and that's what you want from a spectacle film like this. Yes, the movie's going to be a little light on the actual story, but it makes up for it with the visuals and the action and the cinematography. And the color palette, oh my god, I am a sucker for black and red, and the black, energy beam lights and everything at night, and the light cycles driving around, it just looks so damn cool. Ares' outfit too, it looked awesome. I bought the Fortnite skin of it because it just looks so damn cool. Just look at this. That is such a cool poster, man. I want to put that poster up, even though I don't think this movie's incredible or anything, but look at that poster, man. Costume design, the set design, the VFX, the action, that is definitely top tier. They were cooking in this movie. It is visually spectacular. Then I would say the soundtrack. Holy moly, Nine Inch Nails went crazy. There's a lot of music in this movie. Like, literally every single scene has some electronic soundtrack playing, and I think that's the shtick of the Tron movies, you know? Like, some people were complaining, saying, oh, there's so much EDM and there's so much electronic music, and I'm like, that's kind of what this franchise does, though. I think that's their thing. I personally thought it really worked for this movie. Now, I know some people might get annoyed by how often they play the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, but I really liked it. On to my negatives. My first one is the villain. Very one-dimensional, very cartoon villain, you know. I want to make money, I want to make weapons, like very basic villain stuff. I thought Evan Peters did alright as Julian Dillinger, but like, you know, he was just very one-dimensional. Now, there is a bit of a tease for where this character could go, and I think that could be really, really interesting, but who knows if they're going to make a sequel to Tron Ares, because it's not really tracking to do that well at the box office, but that could change, who knows? That's something that really sucks about the Tron franchise is, you know, it just doesn't do that well at the box office. It's not as popular as I think it should be. I honestly think this IP is super underrated. I think it has so much potential. They just got to give it a better story that really resonates with, you know, mass audiences, because right now I feel like it's kind of a niche thing, and that's why the box office isn't that great. That leads me to my next negative is the story. I thought it was serviceable, like it was okay, but it wasn't anything special. It's really just there's a MacGuffin that allows these things from the grid to come to the real world, and there's bad guys and good guys that want to utilize it, and that's pretty much it. The story is very basic, it's a little predictable and everything, and yeah, I think they could have improved the story 100%. Next negative would be that I kind of wanted Ares to be more of a bad guy, because I feel like he's not really like a true bad guy, and that's what I thought he would be, you know? I feel like he starts questioning his orders pretty quickly, like it is pretty much right away. I just wanted him to be a straight up villain for at least like half the movie, like no redeeming qualities, nothing. I wanted him to do some really heinous stuff and just be a straight up villain. Like maybe he was involved with killing one of Eve Kim's family members or something, like something like that right at the beginning of the movie, and then he's just a straight up villain and Eve doesn't trust him and all that, but they didn't really do that, and he just starts questioning his orders right away and kind of goes to the good side pretty quickly, honestly. So yeah, I wish he was a straight up villain for at least like half the movie. That's a little bit of a complaint from me. Then I would say the third act was a little bit messy. It was kind of just like, you know, explosions going everywhere, things flying all over. We got red lights all over the city. It was a little hectic. And it involved a villain that I didn't really care about, which was Athena. She's basically just the female version of Ares that doesn't question her orders. And I would have liked a little bit more of a story for her and, you know, really build up that conflict, but she was just kind of very one note, one dimensional. And like I said, that third act just went a little bonkers, and I wish it just had a more cleaned up story that had the stakes raised and everything, because, you know, there was this big fight, but it felt rather contained, if that makes sense. Like, there was a lot going on, but it didn't really affect, like, the world or anything, which I definitely thought was going to be the case here. Yeah, the third act was a bit messy, but now on to my rating out of 10 for Tron Ares. Tron Ares is an absolute visual feast. It looks incredible in IMAX, which I definitely recommend to go see it if you have the chance to, and 3D. I think that really enhances the whole experience. Jared Leto does a good job as Ares. We've got a good main lead character in Eve Kim, who basically acts alongside Ares for pretty much the whole movie. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and this is just a fun popcorn movie. Like, you're going to see some great action, some amazing visuals, and have some great music playing. Other than that, story's a little bit light. Some characters are very one-dimensional and feels very cartoony. Movie's a little predictable too, and, you know, it's got its flaws, but I honestly think it's super entertaining, so I definitely recommend to go check it out in theaters. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give Tron Ares a 7 out of 10. I think it's above average only because of the visuals, the action, and the soundtrack. If any one of those three weren't as good as they were, then this movie would be like a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 in my opinion. I think this is the best Tron movie, but not by very much. You know, the first one I think's a 5 out of 10, the second one I think's a 6.5, and this one I think is a 7 out of 10. And that's not recency bias talking, because I just watched all three in the last 24 hours. Let me know what you thought about Tron Ares down below.